YouTube. I thought I would pull a Drax there for a brief moment. What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. It's another Monday, and it's Monday Night Live. E-Dub, I see you. Making Mondays a fun days. I do my best. Peter, what's going on, Peter? I'm so exhausted, guys. I am not sleeping. I am not sleeping at all. I had a very long day. It's been like over 100 degrees the last few days here. And I was literally just falling asleep before coming here. But I woke up like 10 minutes ago, and I was like, I need to go do this show. So we're here. I haven't eaten much, so you see me chomping. But guys, we got some things to talk about tonight. We do. We do. The LCS is doomed. It's doomed. Now, you know me. I like to present a statement, and then we pick apart that statement. Where's there truth into it? Where is there falsehoods in it? How is it sensationalized? And we break it apart and we analyze different elements from looking at these arguments. All right. So we are going to look at the LCS today. And I am going to pose a real substantiated, like point blank argument stating that there are many LCSs that are doomed on their own accord. You know, we already understand that in the world that we live in today, the brick and mortar, the retail shop in any industry struggles. It struggles in the age of technology, in the age of Amazon and eBay and in all these online apps. So how are LCSs shooting themselves in the foot and causing their own demise? We're going to talk about that today. We're actually going to look at a video that I uploaded last week, I believe. It was actually a question from a Patreon member when I did my Q&A last week. And we'll get into that in a moment. But that's how we're going to dive into this. And say hello to a few more people. Jacob, what's going on, Jacob? My voice is a little coarse today, guys, so I might not be as animated. Alex, what's going on, Alex? I appreciate you being interested. Tony's here. What's going on, Tony? Big shout out to Tony T with EGS, president of EGS. We announced, I think last week I announced that now if you are using the cover price, basically the cover price website, if you are a member that uses it to store and collect your comic book collection as a database, you can put in all of your EGS slabs in the cover price database now. Pretty freaking awesome. Viper, what's going on? Blackout, what's going on, Blackout? I haven't seen you in a bit. A few updates, guys. We had a great comic book canon show yesterday. That was awesome. My first show back. We had a couple weeks off. We are going to have another show next Sunday. Looking forward to possibly having another awesome special guest, doing another awesome props or flops. Another thing that I do want to remind everyone again, right now we are running a special discount for craftycomics.com if you're interested in some real high quality framework for your comic books, raw and slabbed. I always talk about the EGS slab that my son has on his wall. That is in a Crafty Comics frame. Use the code JFAN10, JFAN10 to receive 10% off of your orders. I'll put that in the comments as I always do here. The Collector F, what is going on? Fat Dad, what's going on? www.craftyWithAnEyeComics.com. And JFAN10 is the discount code to get 10% off of your Crafty frames. All right. Let's see what else. I still have half of the Patreon Q&A questions to get to. I don't think I'm going to do those tonight since I don't want this to be too much of a long show. My voice is a little coarse. I'm exhausted. So I'm looking to possibly do a show either on Thursday, maybe Friday of this week to finish those questions for all of my awesome Patreon members. Real Tech Geek, what's going on? Sky, what's going on? Let's see. Anything else, guys? You have any quick questions before we get into the topic of discussion tonight, too? Please let me know. Oh, yeah. 13,000 subscriber giveaway contest. So far, these are the books that we have. We have a near mint Spawn number 9. First appearance of Angela. We have part of the Weapon X storyline. Marvel Comics Presents number 78. All right. And we got a nice, it's more of a reader copy, but an awesome reprinting of Amazing Spider-Man 122. Death of the Green Goblin. Iconic cover. There will be more stuff added to the 13,000 subscriber giveaway, guys. And remember, I'll be announcing it probably within the next 2 weeks. All right. So I'm actually thinking I might want to do the 13,000 subscriber contest around my birthday, which is in the middle of August. So we'll see. And I'll definitely, like I said, add more stuff to the lot. I do want to say one thing here too, before we get into the main topic of discussion. Obi, what's going on, Obi-Wan Shinobi? Many of you are aware of the video I did and the live stream I did discussing Comic Pro line materials. All right. I still had some issues with their OPP bags splitting. So I did reach out to Comic Pro line. I had a conversation with them. I reached out to them again and they haven't responded yet, but they're in the middle of moving facilities. So I'm going to be patient with them getting back to me. But I've went through a full bag of the standard OPP bags and I went through a second bag. And I will say, I started getting some better results. That's all I'm going to say right now. I still have some concerns, but I can't wait to give you guys all an update on that. I most likely will do an update in a video. All right. But I want to wait till I hear back from Comic Pro line as well. Because like I've said before, I'm not here to knock anybody. I want everyone to better themselves in this industry and give them an opportunity. I love their boards, their bags, just, you guys know. So I'll keep you guys updated on that for sure. All right, guys. So we're going to share the screen here and we're going to pull up a video that I did last week. And we're going to read through some comments talking about this situation within LCS. I'm going to, of course, give you guys the backstory about this LCS and what this LCS is doing. But first, let me get this screen shared. Here we go. Share. All right. Now, before we look into this stuff, guys, listen here. All right. So one of my patrons asked a question saying, I have a local LCS. It was in Florida. Oh, by the way, I am taking a list. And I want to let all you guys know, hit me up, send me an email, hit me up on Instagram, send me a DM. I am making a list of LCSs that are either overpricing their books to some extent or pricing their books at the counter and using like eBay. And I will be contacting each and every one of these stores. I will be contacting them basically as a journalist to basically take note, to have a conversation, to ask them questions, or to invite them onto a live stream. Or a pre-recorded stream that I edit into a video. My intent is to really understand why LCS owners are making certain decisions that they're making. And I'm going to dive deep into it. No spin, but also nothing being held back. This may take a couple of months for me to accumulate everything, but I can't wait. So it starts today with looking at this conversation. This individual said, my LCS is overpricing. It's extremely overpricing their key books. And when asked about it, the LCS owner said, well, I don't sell online. I'm a brick and mortar. I have rent to pay. And he asked me if this is something that is okay and that an LCS should be doing. And the first thing that I said was, and anybody can price their books. at anything they want. But do I think that this is okay? No. And quite honestly, I think it's stupid, because any business cannot use their expenses as an excuse to price something at a price that most likely won't sell. Now, it's different if the comic shop is overpricing and selling the books. Hey, I mean, if they're moving, price it. There you go. And then maybe they're not overpriced if you think about that, because fair market value is always not an exact science, and it's a rolling average. It can move from day to day. Lyric, what's going on? Red Pod Vegan, what's going on? So a little bit back more of what I said to this individual was, I know that there are still some LCS owners that have an LCS, but it's not their bread and butter. Like they're keeping their doors open because they're retired and they have a pension and they can afford it, and it's still more of a hobby for them. Or I knew a couple of LCS owners that owned they're in like a strip mall and they own the building. So basically they own the building and they're getting rent from their other tenants, and it covers costs. They don't really need to stress over making a big amount of money from their actual store sales and revenue. In this regard, I'm going to use Chuck with Mile High as an example. Chuck and Chuck wasn't always, Mile High Comics wasn't always like this. Mile High Comics for decades was the go-to. I mean, they were that online shop before there was an online, because they marketed themselves so well. In every comic book that you got in the 70s and 80s, you saw the Mile High Comics ad, and you could place your mail order in. Their prices were reasonable. But in the more current age, when they moved into that big warehouse of a shop, obviously Chuck seems to love pricing his key books at outrageous prices that are never selling. And he has said this. He has discussed in multiple interviews that he doesn't care if it sells. He knows what he's doing. Chuck is a multi-millionaire. Chuck is good. He doesn't need to sell comics. He is an attraction. He is basically an amusement park. He has a lot of other things that he does. He does his drag shows. He has fundraisers for community, nonprofits, et cetera, et cetera. And that's great for him. Even when he has sales, though, those prices oftentimes are like, I could go find this somewhere else for cheaper still. That's a good example of somebody that doesn't care what he prices his books and if he sells them or not, because he doesn't need the money from that revenue stream. So I did this video and I basically said that either this individual has another revenue stream and doesn't care, or they're not going to move product and they're going to be out of business sooner than later. All right. I'm going to go into the comments of this video. Now, before I do want to read a couple of comments from you guys. Red Piled Vegan, what are we talking about? I appreciate your comment, Red Piled Vegan, but I'm going to stay on topic for right now. If you want to ask me again, maybe towards the end of the show. All right. Viper, overpricing because of a lot of factors. Employee pay. Let's bring this up. Overpricing because of a lot of factors. Employee pay, diamond discounts dropping, shipping increase from Lunar and Universal. Discounts from LCSs have been cut in half for some with no return ability. Okay. Now, Viper, I know, has LCS experience, and I'm not arguing any of these points. I'm not arguing any of these points at all. But the bottom line is you can't validate pricing a book to not move because you got bills to pay. All right. It's different from inflation, where Starbucks can raise their prices of their beverages because supplies and wages and rent continues to to go up. Because the thing with Starbucks is that they're still meeting a demand. You know, and I always go back to market equilibrium, to where the price that you sell it meets that spot on the curve where you're maximizing your profit and you're maximizing your output, your sales. Meaning, if you raise the price a little more, your profit per sale, you know, your revenue percentage, or sorry, your profit percentage from cost might be higher, but you're selling less, so you're not making enough money. Or if you drop it below the market equilibrium, the demand might increase and you might be selling more units, but you're not making as much money off of it as you should. That's market equilibrium. Starbucks raises the prices of their product to meet market equilibrium, supply and demand, because of all of these economic factors. If you have a Nova #1 in a 9.0, and right now, over the last 30 days, 45 days, whatever, the average price for this book being sold on eBay, on whatnot, on my comic shop, et cetera, is around $200. And you have an LCS and say, well, I have rent to pay, I'm pricing mine at $300. And it's white pages, you know, whatever. It's, you know, the $200 range is for most of them that have white pages. So how are you going to justify selling that book for $100 more than what it's been selling for? And how many potential customers are going to walk into that store and actually pay for that book, especially if they can pull out their phone in that store, look up on eBay or on Mercari, or go on my comic shop, find the same exact book for $100 cheaper. Like I said in the video, they're going to say, huh, here's one, same exact book, $100 cheaper. Buy now. Bing. PayPal pay, sent, boom. All right, thanks anyways. Sorry about rent. Good luck. Peace. Walk out the door. I got my book. It makes no sense. So then now you're sitting on inventory that's not moving. And I keep saying this, sitting on inventory costs money. It costs money to sit on inventory, because you got to take all of your fixed cost and your, you know, every cost that's associated with every period that you put on your books, and it relates to the inventory that you hold and what that inventory is costing you for what you paid for it, and the fact that you're going to be in the red until you hit zero. Yeah, sorry to hear about 8th Dimension closing. They do price a mile high. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Alex. It's crazy. Yep. I get it. There's a lot of economic factors going on just with the hobby right now. Travis, what's going on, Travis? Okay, guys, we're going to bring in this video and we're going to look at some comments, okay? Because there was a lot of interesting feedback on this video. We're not going to watch the video. We're just going to read through some comments, okay? Here we go. All right. Now, bear with me. I'm not going to be able to get to your guys' comments while I'm reading these. I will get to your guys' comments, though, after I read a good few. I want to make sure we get to some here. All right. So let's see what we got here. Lee here says, as economic times get harder in the coming months, you will see a lot of LCSs attempting to try these shenanigans. As Journo stated, it will fail miserably. They can charge whatever they want, but it will most likely not sell because the buyer has so many other options. Be patient. Sometime the book you want will come along at the right price. I always talk about patience. But the one thing that Lee here brings up is so many other options. LCS has got to understand that a lot of, you know, the LCS was like a privilege at one point in time. It was a privilege to be able to have an LCS near you. And it was even a privilege to have to drive maybe like 45 minutes to an LCS. That was before e-commerce. That was before eBay, Amazon, Mercari, whatnot, IG claims, and all this stuff. There are so My Comic Shop, Midtown Comics. There are so many options. Facebook Marketplace groups. I could go into a Facebook Marketplace group and say, in search of this comic in this grade, graded, and I'll get dozens of comments saying, asking 150 or best offer. We have so many options in the other thing that can almost make the LCS obsolete. All right, this individual says, whenever I see a price on a key I want, I just see that as the max negotiation price. Okay, we're going to move on. That's not even really addressing Reef. Sometimes people want the book now and don't want to wait, and they pay a little more at the LCS. Most LCS owners are reasonable people. Okay, I agree with this, Reef. And I said paying a little more is much different than pricing way above fair market value. You can also argue that many people don't want to get into their car and spend gas money, drive X amount of miles, waste time and gas to pay way more for the same book that they can lounge on their couch, pull up their phone, and buy sitting on their couch just by clicking a button. That's my argument. You do have people that are loyal, but usually these people that are loyal are because you already have an LCS that is operating on ethics and standards that are taking care of their customers. And maybe they're willing to pay a little bit more. But if you're double the price or selling 200 book for $300, et cetera, people are going to get burnt out for that, and they're not going to tolerate it. It ain't like, oh, I can find this book on eBay for $6. My local LCS is selling it for $10. I'm going to support the LCS. We're not talking about that. We're talking about highly overpriced books. And this goes back to my other argument, pricing raw books at graded prices. And that's already had a domino effect that I'm not even going to get into right now. Let's move on. Holy Harlot says, it boggles the mind. How do LCSs make money during the times that the new comic sales are poor? It was good business once, but so was Blockbuster. Yep. This individual talked about, and those that look up eBay prices. Yep. And I like what this Billy individual says right here. Because you actually want to price your books to move. Because you actually want to price your books to move. And I'm going to talk about that. That is the key ingredient that I want to touch on here. I want to get to a couple more comments, though. All right, let's see. All right, I'm going to read this comment right here because I thought this was very interesting. This was a very interesting comment. And then we had I had a back and forth with somebody else. We're going to read this. Adrian writes, brother, you really made a whole video complaining about what a shop is pricing their books at. If they were scamming people or bait and switching people, then that's different. And you're right, that is different. And that's not what the video is about. So I never claimed it to be scamming or bait and switching. That is different. It's easy, they say. Just don't shop there. Let their doors close. Well, guess what? I said that in the video. You sound broke. I need money now. I need to move my inventory. I need my money. Okay, bro. Maybe they aren't desperate for money like you are. They're okay with sitting on their books and you aren't. You have limited funds. Just say that. Well, first off, this individual clearly took this to being a personal attack. The point I made, though, in the video, too, is that I said don't shop there. I said move on from it. And this was an individual. This was a Patreon asking a question. That's why I made a video on it, because that's what I do. I offer my Patrons Q&As and I answer their questions. That's why I made the video. Now, about me needing to move product because I sound broke. I'm going to state it again. Actually, I'm going to read my reply to you guys. I'm going to read this. This is very important. I say, I appreciate your honest criticism, but you're way off here. First off, this was a viewer's question. Secondly, I'm speaking from a business standpoint, not from a broke individual standpoint. Any business that is in the red for a quarter will end up losing their business. I didn't mean just one quarter, but if you're in the red on your books for a quarter and you continue to follow that trend, you're going to lose your business. That was my point. I'm not sounding broke. And I made it clear the only way a business can do what they are doing is if they have revenue flowing in from another source. Because remember, this individual said maybe they don't need to, maybe they could sit on their books, unlike you. Maybe they have another revenue stream. That's exactly what I said in the video. So yeah, maybe they have a revenue flowing in from another source. Maybe take the time to know everything I said before turning your criticism personal. But the bottom line, a comic shop pricing keys well above fair market value in this day and age and in this struggling market isn't moving inventory. And inventory that doesn't move costs a business money. All right, so now I'm going to make this clear again. Okay, if you look at an LCS, right, you usually have new books that you sell at cover price. You have standard back issues that you could price anywhere from 50-cent bins to dollar bins to $2-3 books to big value books. And then you have actual key books. Most LCSs have wall books, and most LCSs to some extent sell graded books now. You could sit on product differently. You could sit on product differently, right? You could sit on Silver Age Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man books if you want to, because they are a book that is most likely going to continue to increase in value over time. Okay? So if you have a good stock of Silver Age or stuff that is less volatile, maybe you can make money off of selling modern comics or your standard back issues at a solid back issue price. Not everything is created equal, and I'm not saying that it is, but an LCS needs to understand the product that they have, the inventory that they have, and the customer base. And the bottom line is you need to move enough inventory to at least break zero. Remember, if an LCS spends $5,000 on inventory for, well, I'm going to actually go up. If an LCS spends $15,000 on inventory for a quarter, they need to sell $15,000 worth of product in order to break even. But see, even that isn't true. They need to sell more than $15,000 to break even. Why? Because they have rent, because they have wages to pay, employees to pay, because they have taxes to pay, because they have overhead, electricity, etc., etc., etc. So that 15,000 isn't even breaking even. You see what I'm saying? So if you can look at future value of comics all you want, you can overprice all you want, but if you're not making enough, now remember, fixed costs are usually monthly, quarterly, annually, or even bi-weekly if it is labor costs, etc., etc. If you're not bringing in enough money month to month and you're in the red, you're going to lose employees. You're going to lose employees, and you're going to lose the ability to gain more inventory, and you're not going to be able to pay the power bill and rent. There is no point sitting on inventory because you think you deserve to have a higher price with the book. Price your books to move. I can't sit here and price my books at summer 2021 values, simply because, well, they sold for that amount 2 years ago. I want that. I want that amount. I could say that all I want, but what is it going to do for me? Nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to buy it. Let's get to a few comments here. Fiber says, I totally get what you're saying. My comments relate to mostly modern books and minor increases in keys. Not many customers know how the diamond monopoly breaking up affects. Yeah, well, and diamond is breaking down, man. But yeah, no. I hear you. This whole, the discount thing on like the new foil variants and all that stuff. I get it, and that's a whole other conversation. New releases are already overpriced, if you ask me. So many more books at $4.99 and $5.99 now, plus, and we're just not getting the quality that we deserve, and it's getting harder and harder for LCSs to make profit off of that. So I get it. That's definitely tough. And look, ain't no harm in asking high, as long as it's still reasonable, right, to how you want to move your inventory. Yeah, Matt, Canadians have it even harder with the exchange rate. I get it. Yep. All right, Fat Dad. Let's see what Fat Dad says here. It really bothers me when $3 books are priced at 10. It's not fair for the customer to be asked to pay so above fair market value. I know they have a store to keep up and running, but so many books get left. Okay. Now we can ask the question: What are we basing the $3 book? Like, how are we validating this book to be a $3 book? And you run into your LCS and you see the same book for $10. Are we considering grade? Is it apples to apples? Same grade range? Are we really looking it up online and seeing it on eBay for just a few bucks? So obviously we want to make that clarification first and foremost, that yes, this is a book that you can find out there for $3-4, whatever. And I go into my LCS and they have it for 10. You don't buy it. And more LCSs are doing this. The prices on standard back issues are outrageous. Now, I will say this. Whatnot made its presence known during the COVID boom. So even for me as a seller on Whatnot during that time, I was selling books. I was selling books for, a nice high grade, 35-cent Thor run filler was easily selling for $7-8, right? Maybe very fine plus copy. I could easily sell it for $7-8. Now, good luck selling it for $5. And that's just the market. That's just the market that we're in right now. So you have to there was a time where people were so into the online thing. And then what happened with LCS is when everything shut down, and, I know A1 Comics had a huge success jumping onto the live streams. You had comic shops jumping onto these live streams, and they were able to sell even like run filler books or modern books for $8, $10, $12, $15+ on claims, not even bids, but they're pricing them at this price point, and they're selling. When I was like, damn, I was just in the A1 shop right before COVID, and that book was price tag at half that price. People were paying it, guys, but we've shifted from that. Not only have we shifted from that hype because of everyone just being at home, being like trigger crazy, paying in auctions and live streams and claim sales, etc. But now we're back out there living life, and we're not so fixated, but also we're hurting in this economy even more. People aren't putting the money down. So I look at my inventory. Now, though I've said this, the way I price my books. Let me get a book right here. All right, I'm going to tell y'all right now. Here is a Spawn 203. This is from, I believe, 2011. Let me pull this up real quick. 2011. This is a low print run era. This is a near mint, I mean, almost flawless near mint copy of Spawn 203. I am selling if anyone's interested. I have it at $34. $34. That price right there is already under current recent fair market value average. There was a near mint that sold for 40 something. My comic shop has like a fine copy priced at $35, and I'm selling a near mint copy for $34. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, I could have still priced to say at like 45, and it would have still been under some of the current sales for a near mint. And I do that often to where I still ask a little high under current fair market value, because I always guarantee it's under what you could find it for. And then I'll put it up for sale. And then if nobody hits it, I'll take $5 off. Maybe I'll even take more than that. And it's because I can do that because I know that my profit margin on this is still going to be solid. I could sell this book at $34 and make a solid profit off it. And it's priced to move. That's why they say that, price to move. I could price it a little high. Maybe it might take a little longer to sell it, but I'm pricing this to move. Why? Not because I'm poor, not because I sound broke, but because two factors. One, I understand it's a struggling market. And here's the thing. The uncertainty in the market, 1 week from now, the high sell on this might be $35 in near mint. It might drop. I don't know. And why am I going to wait and sit on this trying to, get every penny I can and then not sell it? And then I'm forced. Then when I realize, oh, shoot, the book is dropping in value, then I really have to lower my price. And now I lower my price to a price that's market high, and I'm still going to have a hard time selling it. I'm pricing it to sell right now because the second thing is I'm going to get my money back. The sooner I bring in revenue with still a large profit margin, the sooner I cannot be in the red, the sooner I could take my earnings and my profits and invest into my labor force if I had a labor force, invest into rent if I had to pay rent, and invest into buying more inventory. That is what I'm talking about. It does no good to not move books under that context. All right, let's see. Travis. What drives me nuts are the shops that will not price their books, tell you to go to the counter. It is. It's one of my biggest pet peeves too. And more people are doing that. It's getting on my nerves. Let's see what Tony has to say. Chris, maybe the shop has a lot of pull lists and people pick them up. If you have that, plus comic in the bins are priced okay, that should in itself keep them open and think they can overprice keys. Okay. Very good point, Tony. Now, this is where I believe it was Pedro who asked this question. And Pedro, I would love to know more context about your store. Is it just keys that they're overpricing? Are they overpricing standard back issues? Do they offer discounts for pull lists, et cetera, et cetera? All of that context matters. It does. Because nothing is simply black and white, and that's for sure. All right, let's see. That's what I get. Converting the discount. Let's see. Y'all are talking amongst each other here. I might get back into some comments here. I disagree, Holy Harlot. I disagree. Because first off, my sales aren't getting tracked by any database, by GPA or cover price or anything. But also, it's not just a matter of one sale. It's not just a matter of one sale. You can't look at one sale and say, oh, that's the new fair market value. All right. Listen, you also got to understand the market that we're in right now. Fair market values from yesterday are that's already not an exact science. They're already a moving value. Fair market values of yesterday are not the fair market value of today. And while many people are saying they believe that we're kind of hitting a bottom right now and leveling off, I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. So I believe this price to move that I'm doing right now is indicative of the current market. That's what I believe it is. Because there's not many near mint copies of this book for sale. And my average that I'm getting goes back at least 60 days, maybe even more, probably even more. So whoever paid $45 for the near mint copy may have paid for $45 2 months ago. And that was 2 months ago. And maybe the market has dropped off in the consumer's eyes for this book or for all books in the market in general. If it was the summer of 2021 right now, right? And this book had a high sale of $55. You know what I'd be pricing this for? You know what I probably price it for? $60. Because I know that they're hard to find. I might even price it for $65. So there you go. Oh, now I'm being a hypocrite because I'm overpricing. No, what did I say? I'm not trying to charge $100 extra for a book that's been moving in a market that's dropping. So I think it's indicative of the market that we are in right now. Prices are plummeting because people are setting old highs and they're not moving. So we're dropping and dropping until we hit the current market equilibrium to where the supply, the demand meets up with what they're willing to pay for it right now based on the supply that's out there. I don't think that any of these prices right now that are so down have anything to do with somebody just offering steals out there to customers. It is indicative of the market. It is indicative of the fact that the consumer right now is extremely apprehensive about spending their money because they do not trust the current market and the market value as it sits today. And you know what, Harlot? This is usually what I do. I recently just sold a Moon Knight #1. All right. I had that book priced at about $90. I think it was a near mint minus. So I took the moving fair market value over the last few months and priced it at $90. I ended up selling the book for, I believe, $72. Now, that $90 was kind of in between. There was recent sales of that were in the 70s. There was a couple of recent sales going a couple months back that were in the 90s. I priced it at 90. Nobody bought it. I dropped it down to 85. Nobody bought it. I dropped it down to like 79. And then somebody made me an offer of $72 and I accepted it. So again, that's similar to what you're saying right here. I priced it at what seems to be current fair market value. But remember, what was current last week or the week prior or the month ago isn't necessarily current right now because of this market, because of this economy. And then you drop it down. This one, I did this because I've been doing that trend so much. I mean, I just sold the second appearance of Brother Voodoo. I originally priced it at like $35. I sold it for $24. Because not all fair market values, it's an average. It's an average. And the market continues to trend downward. So instead of sitting on this and putting it up for, say, 45 and sitting it for a week, bringing it down to 40, sitting for a week, and then putting 34 or 35 on it, I decided I'm going to price this where I really think it can move right now because it's more fair with the state of the economy and the market, and I'm going to have a better chance to move it the first time I push it out for sale. So by doing this, I'm simply following the trend that I already know exists, which means that the market, fair market value is slowly doing this. Obi-Wan Kenobi, what's going on? I mean, Obi-Wan Shinobi. I just got confused there, guys. Wow, I see this. I am tired. I meant to say collecting. First off, it's Obi-Wan Shinobi that's hanging out. And I meant to say what's up to Collecting Chaos. Always bringing great perspective in the chats and in the comments section. Nice. Yep. Yeah. I think I started it off at 35. So, I think that's fair. I think, I got it. It's fair. If I got to bring it down till somebody makes that offer and says, this is what works for me, then that's what the market's doing right now. All right. I'm going to bring back, we're going to read a couple more comments, guys. And I do apologize for my coarse voice. I'm pushing through it here. Dan, you know what's interesting with that, Dan? I'll look at this real quick. I would agree with you 100% up until the probably the last 6 months. Even Silver Age stuff is hurt. I mean, if you look at what even Fantastic Four, 48 and 49 have done, I mean, while they're still well above where they were at spring of 2020 before COVID, I do believe the book has dropped like around 50%. So, there has still been a lot of dropping with Silver Age stuff. Even, Spider-Man run fillers. The thing is this, though, with the Silver Age right now, Dan, is they boomed so much during COVID as well, but their drop has been a lot, generally speaking, a lot smaller because they're not as volatile, because you're right. They're always going to command value. And this drop that some of the Silver Age stuff may be seeing, while it's a much smaller drop, it's in such a softer drop, they are going to start moving up in value faster, a lot faster. But I mean, look, even if Amazing Spider-Man run fillers are down a little bit from where they were at 2 summers ago, I could probably guarantee you that they're still like double what they were selling pre-COVID. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, it's still a buyer's market. I would still say it's a buyer's market for Silver Age stuff because of the ebb and flow. But boy, like Dan's saying, and it doesn't take movie hype. It doesn't take movie hype. The ebb and flow of these books is short-lived. It's soft. and they are going to keep on moving because, and this is similar to the stock market, what you vest trust in, because to Dan's point, there's trust in these books, not just the keys, but the legacy run fillers. There's trust in these books. There's precedent in these books, and they're not as volatile. All right, let's look at a couple more. I want to read these comments that this individual left on this thread where this guy was like taking a personal shot at me, right? And then I replied to him. Now, some other guy came in and said this. I also disagree with you, Journo, basically. We don't know if they're not selling a lot of comics and making a huge profit and they're just telling a story that they need to pay rent. Sure, we don't know that. But again, I'm just looking at hypotheticals. I would not say that to customers. I would say that quality is top, and therefore it's a better investment than buying it for a lower price and getting an inferior comic investment. My comic will be much more profitable for them in the long run, and they should buy twice as much not to miss out on it. Can't even imagine why they would buy from one of those dirty places. I wouldn't even step inside the door and buy their dirty comics. Now, I didn't really understand what this individual was saying at first, but what the individual was saying is, if I was an LCS owner, that would be my pitch. That would be my sales pitch. Hey, my comics are cleaner than yours or the competitions, and those shops are dirty and they have dirty comics, which doesn't make really any sense to me. This is what I say. What do dirty comics have anything to do with any of this? We're also talking about comic books, a product that has a value based on grade and condition. We aren't comparing a dirty comic. We aren't comparing a dirty comic, whatever that may mean, to a 9.8 near mint comic. We are comparing fair market values of the same books in the same grades being overpriced. Their reply was this. You don't tell the customer that, huh? Mile High Comics in Denver. Yeah, we know about that. He goes on to say, we want to say your competition has a dirty store and have their dirty fingers all over their over-circulated and restored comics. So you're just going to lie to them? Like, this is boggling my mind here. Your comics are the best and will be the best investment that they should buy double from you because your books will be worth more. The customer should stock up on your books from your store and spend $1 million at your store. Salesmanship, positive thinking. You want to make lots of money by selling lots of comics to customers as much as possible, or do it your way. But I want to make as much money as possible. Oh my God. So this is what I say. And you guys know me, man. I'm sorry. I'm a humble dude, but I speak the truth. And I'll put it on blast, man. This is what I say. I'm still not understanding your point at all. What comic book seller has ever said, spend more money on my comics because they aren't dirty? In almost 40 years of collecting for me, I've never heard that once. As for Mile High, they don't sell that many comics these days, actually, because people won't pay those outrageous prices. Chuck is a millionaire that doesn't need to sell anything in order to keep a shop open. Even if a shop owner says, hey, this X-Men 266 CGC 9.6 is far cleaner and less dirty than what you might find on eBay, so pay $100 more from me. Who is going to buy into that? Not the majority, that's for sure. Anybody that has eyes can look at a book and see the condition that it is in and compare its condition and price to the same comic being sold online or at another store, etc. You don't need an LCS owner using used car salesmanship tactics to sell the same product that the customer could find for much cheaper elsewhere at a bloated market price simply because he's a good salesman. Lastly, you want to make as much money as possible? Then move your inventory. I'm not sure if you were even listening. Do you know what market equilibrium is? spend a few moments to do some Google searching, because that's enough for you these days. Make sure it's valid sources. And get back to me on that. Nobody is making money sitting on inventory, and that was my point. I make as much money as possible by pricing my books ethically that meet a market equilibrium, not by selling hype and swindling customers with the good sales pitch about avoiding dirty fingers and restored comic books. So, I mean, I don't mean to laugh. I don't, but, and if this individual is watching, like, look, I really don't mean to mock you, but I mean, your argument was just so outrageous. So outrageous. Oh, their books are restored. You're just going to make a false accusation? Buy my books. Those books are dirty. Like, mine are clean. Like, who says that? Over circulated. Nobody says these things. This is comic books, folks. I guess some people think that it's okay to overprice your books and sucker people and be a slimy, unethical con man. I guess that's okay. And in their mind, it's thinking positive. In their mind, it's thinking positively, and it's good salesmanship. Nah, I'm not getting behind that. So the LCS. Now let me sum this up. The LCS shooting itself in the foot. Too many LCSs are not adapting to the current market. And when I say the current market, I mean two things: the e-commerce market in the technological age, and this downturn recession of a market, of an economy. That's what I mean by that. They don't want to adapt to either of those things. I'm going to say it again, because every LCS situation isn't the same. If you are making money, and like I believe it was Tony that brought up, look, if you are selling new comics and that's your bread and butter, and you're just sitting on a few key comics and they're way overpriced, and you're okay with that, and you're not moving them, that's fine. If your bread and butter is back issues and key comics, and a lot of your, budget is going into buying collections, and you're overpricing that stuff, and it's sitting, you will not last long. You will not last long. And it's that simple. This idea that you can have all of your supply out on a sales floor, not priced, or even priced, and when somebody brings it up to the register, say, oh, it's not priced, I need to look up eBay, or, oh, it is priced, but I have the right to change it on you, I'm going to look it up on eBay. Because yes, while there are some customers that are loyal to their LCS, that enjoy the atmosphere of going to the LCS, that probably already have a good relationship with their LCS, they may be willing to spend a little bit more because of all those factors. But the majority of LCSs that pull these tactics, they don't have loyal fan bases like this. They alienate customer bases. And more people than not, and we've seen it with COVID, more collectors these days and more people these days are quite okay with sitting on their comfy couch, pulling up their phone, and sitting in a live stream, a whatnot live stream, an IG claim sale, or going on eBay, going on Mercari, going on Facebook Marketplace or comic book sales group, and sitting and buying the book from the comfort of their own home. All these sites, all these ways to pay have payment protection. So I know that another factor is, you don't get to see the book in person. Always ask for pictures. We can send quick videos now. I love sending videos on my books when people inquire about them. And they're protected. More and more people are taking the convenience over let alone driving to an LCS and paying the same price. We're not even talking about driving to an LCS and paying a bloated price. It is not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. So, again, I want to make this very clear. I'm not coming from a black and white argument. There's layers to this. I even talked about like, especially bigger books or Silver Age books or books that don't move that much. I mean, the last sale of say I have an Amazing Spider-Man, first appearance of Green Goblin. This is the example I used the other day. And I have it in a 4.0. And the last sale in a 4.0 sold for $1,500. But that last sale was 5 months ago. Like that, and the sale before that was, 2 years ago for $1,000. Who am I to say that the market hasn't shifted to where somebody might be willing to pay more than $1,500? So why not price it high? Why not price that book at $1,900 and see if I can sell it? And then maybe somebody comes in and says, hey, I'll give you $1,700 for it. And I'm like, deal. You got a deal. That's not what I'm talking about here either. But if you have a modern book, so to say, like a book that moves even one book a week or more, and the average for that book moving is $300, and you're pricing your book at $450, you're not going to sell that book at that price. And look, I know people overpay for books. I've overpaid for books, but we live in an age now too where the consumer and the collector is becoming more and more educated. We have databases like Key Collector and Cover Price at the tips of our fingertip. We can go look at eBay sold. And while we're in the shop, we can look up eBay and Mercari and all these other things and say, well, I could buy it right now for this much. Are you willing to work with me? And hopefully an LCS owner would be willing to do that. Now, that's just the fact of the matter. Now, am I anti-LCS? Am I saying, oh, LCSs are going to kill themselves off? Obviously not. I don't want the LCS to ever disappear. But when you have an industry that is moving so heavily on e-commerce, you're already facing something that's out of your control. LCSs are already facing the need to be innovative. You need to have a gaming setup. You need to do Pokemon and Magic the Gathering tournaments. Maybe you need to focus on manga and have a large manga supply. There's trade paper. I have one store, Big Brother Comics, that basically make their money off of gaming and trade paperbacks. They have a few new releases and they have like one little back issue bin. That's it. Gaming and trade paperbacks and some vintage toys. You got to understand the market that you have nothing to do with already. That's why I think there's so many vendors out there that don't even think about owning an LCS because it's a waste of money. I can sell my books. I could sell my books for the same price doing IG claim sales, whatnot sales, YouTube claim sales, without having to pay employees and pay rent and pay for PG&E, et cetera, et cetera. What's the point of paying rent? So many vendors and sellers are sticking to online stores, doing live claim sales and auctions, whatnot, and possibly hitting up, paying for a booth at a con here and there and getting their name out there. It's in this day and age, it's so much more beneficial for a lot of them. So when you already have this evolving industry and this evolving market, why are you shooting yourself in the foot by bringing forth and normalizing practices? And I'm not just talking about extremely overpricing books. I'm also talking about pricing them at the counter using eBay, changing the prices on them. Again, why do I want to spend an hour digging through back issue bins to find a few books, only to wait in line and then bring them up to the counter and wait even longer while you say, nope, those prices aren't valid. I'm going to sit and look them up on eBay. And then you're not even going to grade them correctly. You're going to price my very good book that I pulled out of your bin, my mid-grade book. You're going to throw a near mint price and not even a sold item. You're looking at what the book's listed for. And so many of them do that. They don't even look at eBay sold. They look at the listing. Oh, well, this one's listed for, I pulled a book out of the $2 bin. This book's listed for $20 in near mint. The book's is freaking a reader copy. And he's like, I'll sell it to you for $15. Why am I going to do that? I'm going to stay home. Do you have already so many variables that are going against you to where these tactics are not going to benefit you at all in the long run? At all. LCSs have to be innovating. They have to offer incentive. The three biggest stores in Sacramento, obviously one of them being A1, who has 3 locations, but there's 2 other locations. World's Best, and I like to give a shout out to Comic Command Center. They all offer point reward systems. And they also all have 50% off sales and stuff like that for holiday weekends or, whatever, summer clearance sale. 50% off back issues at A1, or Comic Command Center will say anything sticker priced at $5 and under is $1. Anything from 6 to 10 is $3 or whatever they do, or is 30% off or 50% off, something like that. You got to bring incentive to the table. So, with that being said, let's get to a few comments here. I agree, Holy Harlot. I would never go back to a place that didn't honor their prices, and that goes to my video that I did about this local shop. I pulled a beat up reader copy, maybe a VG minus, VG maybe, of one of the Vision and Scarlet Witch. It wasn't even one of the key issues, and he had it in his dollar bins, and I brought it up. It wasn't even in a bag and board, and he was like, "Man, I got to get at least $5." That was in the dollar bin. I got to get at least $5 for this. With the show, it was like when the show had just really, I don't even know, and I'm like, peace. I never went back, and I was a loyal customer there for 10, 11 years. Never went back. Haven't been back since. It's been 2 years now. I'm good because I don't buy into that shit. Excuse my language. I don't. So, yeah. Does that say Dan? Dan, what's going on, Dan? Your tutorials on bags have been awesome, helping after not touching my comics in a decade. Thanks, by the way. You have a Conan Conan first appearance of Red Sona we should talk about. That book is not for sale, but I do have one. But thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Tony. Hopefully going to a pool party. Yeah. It's been hot here, man. I hope LCSs stay too, man. I mean, I'm not sitting here being doom or gloom. I want to be realistic. We can't, so many people So many people are fixated on, it's just like instant gratification. It's almost like it comes from the same place that FOMO comes from consumers. LCS owners and sellers are too fixated on the now, that quick money, the quick money instead of the residual, the long-term longevity. That's what I'm about. And also long-term. Okay, I'm going to give you guys an example. Here. If you don't mind, I think this is going to be a great example. I'm going to get some water. I'm going to eat a few pita chips because I'm starving. I've gone longer than I wanted on this stream, but I'm here for you guys. So I'm going to give you guys this example. This is going to be fun. Give me a moment. My voice is just, man. What did I eat today? I had a yogurt. I don't usually eat dairy, but I ate a yogurt. I have some, what I have. I don't even remember now. Damn, did I not eat anything? No wonder I'm losing my mind with you guys today. About to faint. Damn. Yep. I had a yogurt. Some pita chips. What the hell? Sometimes I forget to eat. All right. Good example here. Here we go. Let me read this comment real quick. Russ, what's going on, man? They only look at near mint prices and then try to knock off a few dollars as if they're doing me a favor. I've gone twice. I'm gonna go. Yes. Oh my God. Exactly. As if they're doing you a favor. Nuggin, what's going on, man? Gary's here. What's going on, Gary? Ha, I hear you, Gary. I'm gonna get to this example. I promise, guys. Journo, when I'm perusing through a con, when I look at a booth and see at least two walk books twice as much as. Yeah. I was a little misunderstanding what you're saying here, but wall books. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. Yep. I remember one time. This was a few years back. This was like 2019. I went to a con and somebody had a. I believe it was a 6.0 graded Black Panther #1 for like $1,000. It was ridiculous. All right, look at this example, guys. And we're getting back to talking about business. LCSs being able to, how are LCSs thriving? You already have all these economic factors against them. You already have all these, industry factors of the brick and mortar being a thing of the past, e-commerce, technology, And you talk about, and I was talking about, they want that short-term gratification, the short-term dollar, instead of looking at residuals and how to have longevity in a market and with your consumer base. Check this out. I used to sell cell phones. I was a manager at Sprint. Now, dirty business. They brought in this individual that I trained that I ended up finding out was going to take my job from me. Yeah, shiesty as hell. Now, here's a funny thing. When I started working at this company, I didn't even own a smartphone yet. And I had a learning curve. The first 2 weeks, they were like, man, is this going to be, the district manager was like, I don't know if this is going to be for you. And I'm like, watch. Because everything I do it good. Gave me another couple of weeks. I ended up being in the top in the district in sales, cell phones, accessories every month, top 5 every month. Now, here's the interesting thing. I wasn't like everyone else. If you guys know, maybe it's changed a little now, but you walk into it, at least then, when you walk in, just like car salesman, when you walk into a Sprint shop, T-Mobile, whatever, They are sharks. And what is it? They want to close. They care about closing. This guy that I was training, that they hired, that I found out was going to take my place, not only was he a shark, but he was a snake. This guy, I saw this guy sell freaking, water to an ocean. He would come in and he would say anything, or the customer would come in and he would say anything to these customers to get a sell off. He had an old man come in that went in there. I listened to the whole thing. He didn't want a cell phone. He wanted one of those flip phones that have the big buttons with the emergency button on it. Serves a purpose, right? An old man, an elderly man. He wanted to be able to see the numbers, to have that emergency feature as well. This guy had this old man walking out with an iPhone. Now, here's the problem. When you sell an iPhone, you get more money, right? Because our store we get paid. All of our phones are on contract and we get paid from the manufacturer. So we get paid from iPhone, from Motorola, from Samsung, et cetera, et cetera. So of course, if you sell a Nokia flip phone or something next to an iPhone, the company is going to get paid more off of that iPhone. But here's the thing that this snake didn't understand. He had the highest return rate in the district. What does that mean? Remember, you have 15, 30 days to return your phone. And once you return that phone, you lose money off of that phone, because now you have to sell that phone as a refurbished or as an open box. Not only do we make money off of the phone, but we make money off of the contract. And that's what these snakes and sharks don't understand. It wasn't about getting that initial sale. It's about the contract, 2-year contracts, because that 2-year contract is going to make you 10 times plus more money than what you're making off of the phone itself. So how was I? What was I? I sat in there and I listened to the customer. I asked them, what do they want? And I would show them and give them options. And if they felt like it wasn't right for them or that they needed to think on it, you know what I did? I said, look, here's my business card. You have any questions, you call me, come back, transparency, I'll work with you. I moved from one store in one town to another in another town. I had people that would come that lived in the town that I was in at first, that started coming to see me at the other shop. They would drive 20 minutes just to come see me instead of going to that store where I wasn't at anymore. Why? Because they trusted me. I had the lowest cancellation and return rate in the district. But you know what the general manager said to me? I'm soft. But yet, I still was top 5 in sales in every category every month. Why is that? Why was I so successful? Because I tended to the customer's needs, and I built the relationship and the trust that they wanted. So here's an ironic thing about this company. Now, this company was a franchise. Okay, if you guys don't know how that looks. So they were a franchise company that was Sprint. We weren't corporate. The district was the company. They had like 6 stores. And they basically have to abide by corporate standards. You know, we're on corporate contract, et cetera, et cetera. That company is out of business today. And this was only 10 years ago. That company didn't, and they were around, I think they were around a few years before I started working there. I worked for them for about 1.5 years before I quit. They didn't even make it barely past, they went out of business, I think, right before COVID. They made it maybe a decade. They're gone. Why? Because they cared about instant gratification, that now, money in my pocket. And the irony of that mentality, because they wanted to take this guy in, this snake, this grease oil salesman, and replace him with me. Replace me with him. So why am I giving this as an example? Because I guarantee you, if I still work for that company and I ran that company, not only would we still have the 6 stores, we'd have 16 stores. I guarantee you. Because that is how you run a business. Did I lose money? Did I lose money day to day? At face value? Maybe. But I gained money by building loyalship and that residual income of those contracts and return customers. Same thing with comic books. I could sit here and overprice my books, but I work with people. I listen. I take offers that I think are fair. I throw in free books to almost everybody that buys a book. I'm losing money by giving them a free book, but I do it. Why? Because I know that they're going to trust me. And if they appreciate the product and the service that I'm giving them, they're going to keep coming back. And I make most of my money on my claim sales from return customers. Some of them are here in the chat today. And without them, what am I? So that is the big takeaway that I want everyone to take out of this. And that's why I say these LCSs won't last unless they got some other revenue stream coming in and they don't care about loyal customer base. Because people are going to get turned off. You keep going into a store and having to sit there while they price their books at the counter and I forget who said it. Fat Dad, somebody said, yeah, and they look at the near mint price and they say, oh, take a few dollars off like they're doing you a favor. People are going to get burnt out and sick of that. You go in and you can't even barter or negotiate a decent price on their back issues or their keys. Ain't no point in going anymore. And there's a lot of stores in my area, even ones that I were loyal to, I'm just going to say that have this mentality of overpricing their books right now. And they're losing that loyal following. They're losing that loyal return customer that's going to have a pull list, that's going to hit up every sale that they do, that's going to look at them and maybe even pay a few extra dollars from them than somebody selling on eBay. And that is the big takeaway I want everyone to leave here with. All right, before we wrap up, I will get to a few comments here. Let's see. One of the LCSs will raise the price up $1 more on modern books the following week and up price the incentive variance. I'll find these books cheaper on eBay or at A1. Well, look, up pricing the incentive variance, that's fair game. That's fair game. I'm not going to get into that. But if you price them too high, they're not going to sell. Same thing. But up pricing like regular standard books, I mean, like usually if they don't sell and they're not some type of key, I would down price. I would drop the price. If they're a $3.99 cover price, I put them in the back issue bins at $3. Or I put them in the back issue bins at cover price, $4, and maybe have a 30% off sale. I mean, yep. So that's, yeah. Not near man. What's going on? Let's see. You cannot upcharge for nostalgia or storage fees. You want to upcharge? Ain't no comic so rare you can't find it elsewhere and cheaper. I mean, basically, any comic that you can think of is going to be on the market somewhere at any given time. Almost. Unless we're talking like, high grade grails. Movie fan, thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you. LCS should stick to selling trade paperbacks, older issues, and memorabilia, and not newer comics. I don't know. Like, movie fan, what's your thought process on that? I mean, I already talked about how the new comic, the floppy comic on the primary market, already doesn't have a lot of accessibility because you don't have the newsstands anymore. They're not selling in Barnes and Nobles and border type stores anymore. They're not selling in grocery markets anymore. You know, other than doing a FOC or a pull list off of or previews order for these online shops like Another World or Things from Another World, My Comic Shop, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I think it's essential that brick and mortar still have new issues, weekly issues. I mean, there's some out there that's all they do, basically. New issues and maybe some gaming. I mean, there's a lot of stores that are successful on not having a large selection of back issues. Now, for me, I'm kind of with you in terms of my preference. I would rather have a store that has a lot of memorabilia and back issues rather than new comics. But that's just my preference. But yeah. If a shop wants to make a one-time sale at a high rate, they might make one sale. You give a fair rate or even occasional breaks, you earn a repeat client. Agreed. Agreed. Ah, that's awesome. I didn't realize you guys were family. That's awesome. Oh man. You guys, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Not near me, coming with some interesting points here. Franchise owners rarely want to know the faces of their employees, just their manager to make sure earnings up, and if not, why? Oh, those impersonal types go out of business too. Need to be in the weeds. Yep. That's why, man. I went back to college. I earned my degree first for my family to graduate from college, and couldn't get a job. And then COVID hit. Entered Journos Comics, and now I'm in the education field. Still part time though, trying to push through that. Taking my CBEST this summer. I just did the reading portion, and I hope I passed. It was tough. I'll tell you, it was. The worst thing you could ever do when you have a newbie collector and you burn him, he's done with comics instead of him continuing collecting, buying, circulating with the community. 100%. 100%. You do not want a new collector to get burned because you got rent to pay. It's like, come on now. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and I hear you, man. We need excitement for new people coming into shops, not confusion and everything being priced out. Sometimes a little guidance based on their interest in movies helps too. We need new blood. I'm with you. Not near mint, dropping some jewels today. Definitely with it. Selectable. I used to work for Verizon corporate 23 years ago. Now I work at Stanford for 20 years. Collects comics and sneakers. Still time, bro. Appreciate it. Absolutely. My Comics Closet, what's going on? Good to see you here. My LCS has a whole wall of pull boxes. Been in business 40 years. Everything seems priced to move as far as back issues. That's awesome. Chaos. When I go into LCS and all they have is new books, I turn around and walk out. Me too, unless I'm specifically looking for a new book, like maybe I missed the new issue of Thor, Spider-Man, or that indie title, and I'll go in a store and pick one up. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm exhausted. I can't believe I haven't eaten anything today. I can't believe we've gone 90 minutes today, too. Woo, man. Don't kill my vibe. Don't kill my vibe. Sorry, guys. I hope nobody was offended by the shirt. I like to keep it PG-13. Technically, I still am. And for those that don't know, this is a song, and it's not talking about women. It's not talking about women. I can feel your energy from 3 planets away. I'm on a vibe today, guys, and I'm just feeling it. So, look, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I pushed through being tired as hell, being hungry, and not really having much of a voice today. So, again, I want everyone to make sure, guys, please hit the like button if you haven't yet. I do want to say, like, I said this again, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record or like some fighting the algorithms on YouTube right now. It's so bad because I stopped making videos for a minute. They want to kill my channel. They want to kill my channel. There's more days where I'm losing subscribers than gaining new ones because they're knocking them off. And I know it's YouTube knocking them off. Like, I'm going to tell y'all real quick. I'm going to give you a little quick analytic. At my peak, my worst videos would do well over 1,000 views. My worst videos would do well over 1,000 views. All right. My video that I published today, over 7 hours ago, hasn't even received 200 views yet. And it has to do with the algorithms. Straight up. And I can tell, I'm not going to go into it, but I can tell you how I know, because they're just not even, how many people here are subscribed to my channel and haven't been, when you go onto YouTube on your phone, right? So let me go onto YouTube on my phone. I'm going to go onto YouTube. You know, you go onto YouTube, right? And you see this. Oh, you're like, okay, let me scroll. You start scrolling, you know, and you start seeing stuff. How many people aren't seeing my thumbnails? I guarantee you there's probably a good amount that are here. And how many of you are actually have clicked the notification bell and still aren't seeing it? And I test this out because I have 2 personal accounts. I have my business account and my personal Gmail and YouTube. So I'm subscribed to Journo's YouTube from those 2 accounts. I'll go into my YouTube from those 2 accounts. I am subscribed and I click the notification bell. I will release a video, right? And I will go straight onto one of those YouTube, my personal YouTube, like 5 minutes later, and I will be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I will see an old video of journos that I already watched a year ago. I'll see that thumbnail before I see the thumbnail of my new video. It's that bad. So I'm just asking you guys to do the bare minimum. Hit the like button, you know, click the notification bell if you can. And, you know, just keep watching for the drops because I do appreciate you. I want to keep doing what I do. And it's the invisible, unseen beast of the algorithms that just freaking makes it so hard. So hard. And I don't want to have to start my channel over from scratch. I'm going to keep pushing here. 13,000 strong, man. So, yeah. Often see them late. Yep, something's going. I'm telling you. That's good, Jaga. Appreciate it. Movie fan, it takes a while for some vids to pop up. Yep. So I'll push it for you guys, man. I am. All right, guys. Thank you so much again. Have a good 4th of July. Please be safe. Get your designated driver if you're in the Sacramento area. Hit me up. I always mean that. Please, please be safe. This is a time to celebrate and to not let our celebrations turn into a nightmare for somebody else's family or somebody's child or somebody's mom or dad or grandparents don't make it home because somebody wanted to drink and get behind their wheel and be selfish. Let's not do it. Let's not do it today. Let's not do it tomorrow. Let's not do it anytime. That's how I ask of you guys to be the bigger, better people in this world to make our world better. So thank you guys so much. Be good to yourselves, be good to others. And until next time, peace.